How are you? This is David Williams, and I had a dream. I want to say, what year is this? 2015. It may have been last year. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it was last year. And this dream had about 4 parts to it. And this is really, really significant because the last part has not been fulfilled. The Lord gives me dreams. I dream a lot, not necessarily spiritual dreams, but God is helping me out with that. And by that, what I'm saying is the Lord is teaching me how to deal with the fact that I've seen a lot of things, heard a lot of things throughout my day, and I've thought about a lot of things throughout the day, and that dirties your mind. It clutters the mind, and so often when you go to sleep, you're dreaming about the things that cluttered your mind or things that you thought about. There's a passage in the book of Job where it talks about how our dreams comprise of the things that we interacted with. It makes the statement, in the multitude of business dreams come. So I've been asking the Lord, and I suggest you do the same thing before you go to bed, to scrub your mind clean, to cleanse your mind of all of the things that you've interacted with or seen throughout your day, so that your mind can be clear to hear from the Lord about yourself or situations around you or the future. And this dream that I had, it pertained to the future. So there were 4 specific things that happened. And I don't necessarily remember the first 3. I do remember the first part of it. I dreamt I was with extended family in a hotel room. The second part of it, I dreamt I had friends that were living with me. The third part of it, I dreamt that I dreamt that there was some sexual misconduct going on. And then the fourth part, that's the part I really want to focus on. Now, each part of those things came to pass specifically. When I was with extended family, that was, and the individuals I was with, that occurred. So the Lord spoke to me about future events. The first 3 events, I was with extended family, that occurred after I had this dream. The sexual misconduct thing occurred, and the friends occurred. The last part has yet to occur. And that's the part that I want to say generally is of concern. The last part, I dreamt I pulled up into my driveway, and as I was in the driveway, I was sitting in my vehicle, and a bright light from above, it came upon me, and I jumped, trying to figure out what was going on. Like, what's going on? I opened the car door. I got out of the car partially, and I noticed, out of my peripheral vision, and then I noticed that there was a young lady from the neighborhood greeting a United States soldier that she knew. He had, I think, a bouquet of flowers in his hand, and either a box of candy or a stuffed animal that the girl from the neighborhood, who was regularly dressed in plain clothes, she'd given to him. He was in his military gear, and she was welcoming him home. But I didn't get the sense that he was necessarily home, but he was in the neighborhood dressed like that, and she was happy to see him and gave him some things, and he was giving her a hug. So I saw that he and she were on the sidewalk. I looked over the house where I was staying, and I saw this large military helicopter, and I forget, it's called a Chinook, Chinook. And if you know which one I'm talking about, you can post it in the comment section, a picture of it. But it was a Chinook helicopter, and I saw 2 of them, and then I saw a third helicopter. It was all black. I knew that it was a civilian police force, I'm sorry, not civilian. Civilian, not in that it was a militia, but civilian in that it wasn't military. So it was the domestic police force. It was our local police force, but I guess a higher level, like a SWAT type of black helicopter. I knew it wasn't government. I knew it was just escorting the two Chinook helicopters, from which U.S. soldiers were repelling, I think that's the word. They were coming down on ropes into U.S. cities. And it was night, and I saw these U.S. soldiers coming out of these Chinooks to police U.S. cities. And I remember the strong level of horror and fear that I felt, and I shouted, "Already?" And then I got back into the car. I looked out of the passenger side window, and I saw my neighbor. He was surrounded by 2 to 3 police officers. One of them was putting him into a potato sack-like bag. His hands were behind his back. He was being cuffed or strapped with some type of restraint. One soldier was behind him pulling up the bag. A soldier was there either reading some charges or instructions, and then another soldier was putting a hood over his face, and so that he couldn't see where either he was going or who they were, or whatever that was going on. But I knew that he was being arrested for being an enemy of the state to a degree. Not that he was a felon, but he was looked at by the government as a threat to any agenda that they were attempting at this point to enforce. And so I get back into this car, and now I'm trying to figure out, what should I do? Should I speed out of this driveway? If so, I may hit the guy and the girl that are right there on the sidewalk. If so, they may notice me and chase me. So I didn't know how to respond, but the level of fear was so high in my heart. I said, this has to be a dream. And I literally shook myself awake. And when I awoke, I didn't necessarily understand the fullness of the dream, as I mentioned, because they were all parts of a dream. But the fact that God allowed me to see those things, and 3 of the 4 events had occurred, lets me know that the 4th event is yet to occur. The same God that gave me foresight about those 3 events. And that's what prophecy is. Prophecy is insight and foresight from a spiritual source. The spiritual source that we worship, that we honor, is the Creator, the Father, and His Son, Jesus Christ. And He showed me the future. Only He knows the future. And He showed me those 4 events. The 4th has yet to occur. And so my encouragement is that you stay prayerful, and you allow the Holy Spirit to give you guidance as to how to prepare for the days ahead, because there are a lot of changes that are going to be made. I don't know, nor do I have a timetable as to when these things will occur. But my encouragement is that you increase in your prayer time, so that God can find you faithful when He comes. This is David Williams with Jesus Ministries.